It was supposed to be just another workday. But for Jamal Harris, a 24-year-old black man fresh out of college, it would be a day he would never forget. He came into the office early, crisp white shirt, tie knotted neatly, shoes polished, eager to prove himself. Jamal wasn't just hardworking. He was ambitious, sharp, and full of ideas. But there was one problem. His boss, Mr. Whitman. Middle-aged, arrogant. The kind of man who believed the corner office belonged to people like him. To Whitman, Jamal wasn't an asset. He was a target. From the moment Jamal joined the company, Whitman made it clear he didn't belong. The comments were subtle at first. "Are you sure this is the right job for you? Do you really have the experience for this?" And when Jamal's suggestions in meetings started drawing attention, Whitman cut him off, dismissed him, humiliated him in front of the entire team. But Jamal swallowed his pride. He worked harder. He stayed late, corrected mistakes others made, and carried projects on his shoulders. Yet still, Whitman wasn't satisfied. And on this day, Whitman decided he'd had enough. In front of the entire office, Whitman slammed a folder on Jamal's desk. "You're done here," he sneered. "You don't have what it takes. This company needs professionals, not charity cases." The words stung. The room went silent. All eyes turned to Jamal, humiliated, broken, standing there with nothing but his dignity left. Jamal took a deep breath, forcing his voice not to crack. "Sir, I've done everything asked of me. I've gone above and beyond." Whitman cut him off, laughing. "Save it. You'll never be more than an errand boy here. Pack your things." Security was called. Jamal walked out, his head low, his future uncertain. But what Whitman didn't know was that he had just made the biggest mistake of his life. Because Jamal wasn't just any employee. He was the son of Charles Harris, the CEO. That evening, Charles Harris, a tall, commanding man in his 50s, sharp suit, eyes that missed nothing, got a call. Not from HR. Not from management. From his son. "Dad," Jamal said quietly, trying to hold back the frustration. "They fired me today." Charles froze. "Who fired you?" "Whitman." The silence that followed was heavy. And then, Charles's voice hardened. "Son, don't worry. I'll take care of this." The next morning, the office buzzed as usual. Whitman strutted around, smug, proud of himself for cleaning house. He told his colleagues he had removed dead weight. But then, the elevator doors opened. Charles Harris walked in. The CEO. The air shifted instantly. Employees stood straighter, whispers rippled across the floor. And Whitman, he turned pale. Charles's eyes scanned the room. He spotted Whitman. And with each step toward him, the tension grew. Whitman forced a smile. "Mr. Harris, what an unexpected." Charles cut him off coldly. "Mr. Whitman, my office." "No." The entire floor went silent. They watched as Whitman followed, his arrogance replaced by panic. Inside the CEO's office, Charles shut the door. He dropped a folder on the desk. Jamal's file. "You fired him," Whitman stammered. "Well, sir, I felt he wasn't a good fit." Charles leaned in, his voice low but dangerous. "Not a good fit. He's one of the brightest minds in this building. He stayed late, carried his team, and outperformed your favorites. And you threw him out." Whitman's face flushed. "Sir, I didn't know he was your son, and that was his mistake." Charles's jaw tightened. "You shouldn't treat anyone's son that way." The weight of the words hit hard. And Whitman knew, in that moment, his career was hanging by a thread. Charles didn't fire him on the spot. No, that would have been too easy. Instead, Charles leaned back in his chair and said, "Tomorrow morning, you'll stand in front of the entire staff. You'll apologize to Jamal. And then, we'll discuss your future here." Whitman swallowed hard, sweat forming on his brow. "Yes, sir. But here's the twist." The next morning came. The office gathered. Jamal stood tall, no longer the humiliated worker but the one holding his head high. Whitman stepped forward, his voice trembling. I owe Jamal an apology. Murmurs spread. The staff leaned in, watching the arrogant boss brought to his knees. Jamal locked eyes with Whitman. For the first time, the power had shifted. And Jamal wasn't just the underdog anymore. But just when justice seemed complete, something unexpected happened. A new figure entered the office. Tall, sharp suit, cold eyes. The regional director. And he wasn't smiling. "Charles," he said flatly, addressing the CEO. "We need to talk. Right now. About your son." The room froze. Jamal's stomach dropped. Whitman's smirk returned, faint, but there. Because whatever the director had to say, it wasn't going to be simple. And suddenly, Jamal and his father realized this fight was far from over. The real battle was just beginning. It was the moment everyone thought justice had been served. Whitman stood before the staff, his voice shaking as he apologized to Jamal, the young man he had mocked and fired only days before. For the first time, Jamal felt the power shift. No longer the humiliated worker, but the man everyone was looking at with newfound respect. But then, the elevator doors opened, and out walked Mr. Randall, the regional director. Tall, silver hair, cold, calculating eyes. He wasn't smiling. "Charles," Randall said, his voice cutting through the silence, "we need to talk. About your son." The entire office stiffened. Jamal's heart pounded. His father's jaw clenched. Whitman, standing in the corner, allowed himself the faintest smirk, as if he already knew something the others didn't. Inside the boardroom, the tension was suffocating. Randall dropped a folder on the table. "Your son," he began, "has been accused of misconduct, breaching company protocol, leaking confidential files." Jamal's eyes widened. "That's not true. I'd never." Randall held up a hand. "Save it. We have evidence. Emails. Documents accessed from your login. Sensitive client information shared outside this building." The weight of the accusation slammed into the room like a hammer. Whitman, standing just behind Randall, looked almost gleeful. Jamal turned to his father, desperate. "Dad, I swear, I didn't do this." Charles stared at his son, then at Randall. His voice was calm, but dangerously sharp. "If you're accusing my son, you'd better have more than doctored files." Randall's lips curled into a thin smile. "Oh, we have more. Enough to terminate him immediately. Enough to open an investigation that could damage this company's reputation." Jamal's chest tightened. This wasn't just about him anymore. It was about his father, his family, their legacy. Charles leaned back, steepling his fingers. "Let me guess. This is about more than files." Randall didn't answer. But the silence said everything. This wasn't just an accusation. It was a setup, a power play. And Jamal was caught in the middle. Back at his desk, whispers rippled through the staff. Some believed Jamal. Others weren't so sure. And Whitman. He walked past, smirking, whispering just loud enough for Jamal to hear. "Looks like being the boss's son won't save you this time." Jamal's fists clenched. His world was crashing down, and he had no idea who had framed him or why. But one thing was clear. Someone powerful wanted him gone. As Charles and Randall's voices rose behind the closed boardroom doors, Jamal stared out at the city skyline. He had fought so hard just to be respected. Now, he was fighting to survive. And then his phone buzzed. An unknown number. He hesitated, then answered. A voice whispered on the other end. "I know who set you up. Meet me tonight. Come alone." The line went dead. Jamal's pulse raced. Who was it? Could he trust them? Or was this just another trap? One thing was certain. The battle wasn't over. It was only just beginning. Please subscribe for part 2.